All right, I'm trying to get the video together. What is playing? Okay. I got it. Damn, the wrong video was playing. All right, so before we get to Trump, we're going to get to Ted Cruz, Senator Ted Cruz, right? I've been speaking on him recently, and he's been lashing out on a lot of the Democrats, right? A lot of the blue team, a lot of members, judges, and stuff like that. So, if y'all missed it on prior lives, I've talked about Ted Cruz. I think I got a whole live where it's just about Trump and Ted Cruz, if I'm not mistaken. But on this video, right, it says must watch chaos erupts when Senator Cruz calls out woke Biden judge. And I'm glad they doing that. It's crazy how they do it only when, it's time around for election. But he's been doing this since 2023, 2022, and longer. And he's been getting a lot of lashback for this. So I don't know if he has a passion for this, but I noticed that they're bringing the 2023 videos up a lot now in 2024, especially throughout this Trump election. So, but Ted Cruz has been coming hard at these judges, and I'm not mad at him. Like a lot of these judges that should be giving predators and pedophiles, you know, a certain amount of time are not doing that. If anything, they're giving it out to the drug dealers. Like, listen, man, it's backwards. It's completely backwards. Like, let's listen to what Ted Cruz got to say.
In your court, what matters more? The rights of individuals or your political ideology?
I apply the law to the facts.
I asked a question, which matters more?
Well, my political ideology doesn't matter at all.
Okay, so I don't believe you. And I think this case demonstrates that you are willing to subjugate the rights of individuals to satisfy your political ideology. This case involves a male defendant who raped a 9-year-old boy. Was he guilty of that?
Yes, the petitioner pled guilty to that.
Okay, so he raped a 9-year-old boy. He also raped a 17-year-old girl. Was he guilty of that?
He pled guilty. The petitioner pled guilty to that crime as well.
So was he guilty?
I hope so, because she pled guilty to it.
I hope so, because she pled guilty to it. I hope so, because let's keep going. I mean, did that make sense to y'all? I hope so. She's a judge, right?
He was a he when he did this.
That's correct.
And also criminal deviant conduct, which the record doesn't disclose what that was exactly. Then, after serving in prison, Mr. McClain was released for parole, but then violated the terms of parole by having internet and was sent back to prison. 1 year after being released again, he was convicted of having child pornography. Is that correct?
I'm unclear on exactly the time frame that you're at, but the petitioner was convicted of distributing child pornography.
Child pornography that was images of adults violently raping children.
Abhorrent conduct.
Okay.
For which there are real victims.
So why do you keep giving this man chance after chance? Why is he out on the streets so fast and back into your courtroom and back out on the streets? As a judge, why not give him the time that, you're allowed to give him? Because you can give him up to 30 to 50 years for a crime like this, even more. But as a judge, a lot of judges, like when I spoke on Judge Cantana Jackson, she does the same thing. She'll give a predator and a pedophile 2 months of jail time, the most maybe a year or two, while she gives somebody with a minor offense years, maybe lifetime. Let's make it make sense. A small offense compared to this type of offense? Okay.
And this individual, 6'2", biologically a man. A minute ago, you said that when this man decided that he was a she, you said this individual was, quote, I wrote it down, sober and entirely a female. That phrase.
So now he's non-binary. Now he flipped the scripts to be a woman because if they would think that he's a woman, he can get away with it. You see, women, while we can't keep using that little "I'm a woman" card, I can get away with it type shit. I'm glad my elders
struck me as as remarkable. Did this individual have male genitalia?
I think what I said, or at least what
That is a verbatim quote, entirely a female.
Sorry, what I meant to say was hormonally a female.
Okay, but that's not entirely. Did this individual have male genitalia?
Yes.
So you took a 6'2" serial rapist, serial child rapist with male genitalia, and he said, you know, I'd like to be in a women's prison. And your answer was, that sounds great to me. Let me ask you something. The other women in that prison, do they have any rights?
Is that a question you're
yes,
asking me?
The other.
Yes, like, what the fuck type judge is you? How you don't know that's a question? Honorable Sarah Nutburn? What? Is that a question? Yes,
women in that prison, do they have any rights?
Of course.
Do they have the right not to have a 6'2" man who is a repeat serial rapist put in as their cellmate?
Senator Cruz, I considered the facts presented to me and I reached a decision.
The facts is that this man was born with male genitals. He did not belong in a woman's prison, whether he thought he was a woman or not.
I asked you a question. I asked you a question. Do they have a right not to have a 6'2" man who is a serial rapist put in as their cellmate? Do those women have a right to that?
Every person who's incarcerated has the right to be safe in their space.
But you didn't think so. You didn't think so. And in fact, I'm going to give some quotes from your order because Senator Kennedy is right. This is not a judge's order. This is a political activist. By the way, the beginning of your order says, at birth, people are typically assigned a gender. I got to say that would astonish a lot of Americans. A lot of Americans think you go to the hospital, a baby is born, and congratulations, you have a little boy, a little girl. The assigned a gender, I know you went to Brown, but it sounds like it's in a college faculty lounge with no bearing on reality. The Bureau of Prison argued what I'm saying right now, that if you put this person in a female prison, there will be a risk of sexual assault to the women. And you know what you did? You said you didn't care about the women. I'm going to quote what you wrote. You wrote, quote, the Bureau of Prisons claim penological interest in protecting female prisoners from sexual violence and trauma. This interest is legitimate. That's kind of you to say. But there are no signs that petitioner is at risk of reoffending.
Yeah. Shout out to Ted Cruz. He said, bitch, get that ass over here and take accountability for what I'm asking you to. Yes, speak up. Okay.
Offending.
Find out.
The record is devoid of evidence of incidents of violence or assault during petitioner's incarceration when she was the perpetrator, only the victim. A theoretical risk of sexual assault by the prisoner without more cannot support the BOP's position. No evidence, theoretical. Have you dealt in what universe is someone who is a serial repeat child rapist not at a risk of reoffending?
Tell him. I mean, if he's done it more than once, what makes you think that, like, yo, if it's been proven that castration doesn't work for a lot of people, they end up sodomizing, I can't say the word right now, sodomizing other people. Basically, they'll use another object, right? A stick, a baseball bat, something. And they'll do, horrible things, like, to fulfill whatever fantasy that they got going on. Like, I've heard so many cases and seen so many stories that I'm sitting here like, wait, what? So that's why, I went from, people used to hear me like, why isn't castration legal in the United States? Like, why can't a pedophile get castrated? Boom, boom. People was like, yo, do your research, even if they do, da-da-da. And I did my research. All right, so since castration doesn't work either, then fuck that shit, man. We building caskets up in this bitch for them fucking pedophiles. Hashtag, may all the predators rest in peace.
Senator, as I do in every case.
Okay, I know you've been told to repeat the line, I follow the law. I asked a question. In what universe is someone who is a serial repeat child rapist not at risk of reoffending?
Sir, I looked at the facts that were before me in this case. All of the evidence, including the statements of every warden who had supervised this petitioner.
You also wrote, the BOP also posits that permitting
Yo, this is crazy. So I don't know if y'all remember a little while back then, right? Let's see the chat real quick. Blessings, Ronald Jones. How you doing? Let me see. Women, when I first heard they were putting them in a women's prison, I was shocked. Peen and prison, some females might be happy. Saw them a zing. Yeah, and that's crazy. Like, I don't know if y'all remember the case a little while back, right? When this all started happening, where they had a male in a woman's prison and two females ended up pregnant because they decided to put the man, right, that said that he was allegedly a woman because he felt like he was a woman into the prison. Like, all this stuff is happening because of these little rules and laws, and we're letting it happen. It's supposed to be we the people, right? But people get the we the people type shit into the wrong. I don't know. They get the concept wrong because we the people is the Constitution. We're the ones that make the laws. We're supposed to be saying with these legislators, doing all that. But for some reason, I mean, listen. I guess people are turning we the people into some type of cult, whatever it is. When in reality, it's not even a cult. It's a constitution. I hope I said that part right. The Constitution.
Petitioner to live among women will be traumatizing and possibly dangerous to them. This concern is overblown. I have to say, if I were the father of one of those women and you decided that my daughter's cellmate was going to be a 6'2" man who over and over and over again committed violent sexual assault,
Lawsuit.
I would say the entire justice system is absurd, and it is clear on your record your political ideology matters a heck of a lot more than the rights of those women that you endangered. I think you're a radical, and I think you have no business being a judge.
Judge Netburn, there was an opportunity during your exchange with Senator Cruz that you were attempting to offer a response relative to the conditions under which this petitioner was unsafe in the facilities in which she was being held. I'd like to offer you the opportunity to finish that response.
So the facts that were presented to me and what I relied on to make my decision were that the petitioner had engaged in no violence, no physical violence, no acts of sexual violence whatsoever while in custody. All three wardens who supervised the petitioner.
Okay, so because the prisoner wasn't involved in any of them types of things, which was the reason why he was in there, a repeated sex offender, a repeated pedophile, you still gave in to his petition, to his wishes? Let's make it make sense, lady. And you a woman. You are a woman judge at that.
Requested that she be transferred to a women's facility because of her serious medical needs. In addition, a
man with dick and balls, man. Fuck that. I ain't gonna censor that shit. Raw and uncut. A man with some dick and balls wanting to have a vagina but doesn't have a vagina, wants to be in a woman's prison. And this lady said, because he wanted to be called a she, it's okay. Look, listen, man. I don't give a fuck about your sex preference. What you do behind closed doors, underneath them sheets, that's between you. It should stay behind closed doors. I don't give a fuck if you're straight or if you're fucking sitting down at the end of a fucking rainbow and bouncing on it. I'm dead serious. What you do behind closed doors, your sex preference, your sex life, it should be there behind fucking closed doors. It's not nobody's business. But here's one thing that I'm not going to sit here and agree is what they're doing right here. Brainwashing, manipulating our kids, putting this shit in their head. Man, if you want to be with a man, you can be with a man. Grown this shit, go ahead. If you grown, you want to do all that, listen, go ahead. If you want to be with a woman, you want to live with a woman, do all this stuff with a woman, go ahead. Live your life. But come on, let's stop making it seem like, oh, this is something that, you're born with. Because me personally, man, I know a lot of people have, a difference of opinions. But even the people that are actually gay themselves is at war with the LGBT community in their ways of them viewing things. And if y'all don't believe me, once again, go do your research. It's not what you do, it's how you do it. I don't give a fuck who you with, what your sex preference is, what your sex life is like. It's not my business. It's not these kids' business. It's your business. So keep it right there in your house as it should stay. But you're not going to sit here and tell me that a man should be sitting in a prison or sharing a bathroom with a woman. Like, come on, man. That's something that we was all fighting against. In our elementary schools, how many schools didn't have the binary bathroom? They did. Right? How many parents didn't go to the school district and complain? Why is it that my daughter has to walk in and see a little boy piss on the toilet, on the urinal? Or my son just sat here, was looking underneath the girl's little stool. And, listen, man, so many things that I could say about this shit is like, y'all don't think about the consequences. It's still a man. He could still, just because he likes men, could still get turned on by a woman. Come on, man. Let's be real.
Bureau of Prisons' longtime medical provider testified at a 2-day hearing in my courtroom and recommended that the petitioner be transferred because of her serious medical needs. And the last thing I'll say is that the Transgender Executive Council, which is the body that makes decisions on behalf of transgender transfer requests within the Bureau of Prisons, never said that the petitioner could not be transferred, and never, ever said that she couldn't be transferred because of any risk of violence. What the Transgender Executive Council repeatedly said in denying the request was simply that she needed to maintain her hormone levels. That was the repeated justification for the denial of transfer. But the petitioner had reached full female hormone levels before even being incarcerated. At the time, the district judge in Indiana who sentenced the petitioner requested that she be placed in a women's facility. Her hormones were entirely female at that point. And so the decision by the Transgender Executive Council to deny the transfer request.
Her hormones were entirely female. So that means that she was just going through, I guess, the process, right? But she didn't fully go through the process yet. Her hormones were fully female, but he had dick and balls. He still had his dick and balls.
Based on this idea that it was only because her hormones needed to be consistent and stabilized, I found was a pretext, but they never once said she cannot be transferred because of violence. It was always based on this idea that her hormones had to be.
Thank you, Judge Netburn. Senator
Judge Netburn, that's
Padilla.
directly contrary to what your report
you all
said.
have
That is
had
directly
all.
contrary.
No.
No. We're going to follow up, and that's how it works.
Yo, I thought I'm like, damn, am I on a freaking panel here on YouTube? Shit, it was all. Yo, it was about to go down, I think.
That is exactly how it works.
Look,
if you follow up, you didn't get extra time, and she just directly contradicted her own report. I'm just going to read her own words.
I just said
because
fair,
it's
Matt.
exactly the opposite of what she said. Your own report.
Senators,
Quote,
I gave both of you more time to finish your line of questioning. I allowed the witness to finish her. I allowed the witness to finish her response. I allowed the witness to finish her response. That is,
I understand that you're scared of the facts.
I have
Senator Padilla. Madam Chair,
open up
Madam Chair.
testimony and then
she
not
has an
give us a
obligation
chance
to explain
cross-examine?
why she directly contradicted what she wrote in her report. She says in her report, the Bureau of Prisons' claimed penological interest is in protecting female prisoners from sexual violence and trauma. She just told you the Bureau of Prisons didn't say there was a concern about sexual violence and trauma. Those are directly contradictory. And why are you contradicting what you wrote in your report?
And what are you trying to hide?
I believe I have the floor.
No, wait, point of order.
Senator Padilla. Senator Padilla.
Are you going to let her answer that question?
Senator
or you
Padilla.
don't want her to answer that question?
Senator
You're
Padilla.
afraid?
Very much, Madam Chair.
Senator
Afraid of the
Yo, it sounds like they don't want her to answer the question. They don't want her. Yo, it's a panel full of women over there. It's all women.
answer to
this
that.
is
No cover-up.
Are you
Senator
afraid
Padilla.
of the answer to that question?
Senator Padilla.
So yes, you are afraid of the answer to that question.
Senator Padilla.
Please hold
Clearly,
my
you're
time.
afraid of the answer to that question.
Yo, that shit was crazy. Yo, Cruz is shout out. You gotta love Cruz though, but he was speaking some facts though. Like, man, we gotta get a grip. We gotta pay attention. Y'all focused on the president, right? But we should be focused on the legislators because that's the stuff that's happening. Like I told y'all before, on every live that I do, that's speaking on something like this. I'm gonna add a Papa Duck video and I'm gonna add a Ted Cruz video onto that, John. So Ted Cruz went to war with the people in the government, yo. The meetings are crazy. I've been looking at them. Like, I want to do the 2-hour ones, but I'll settle for the clips. All right, let me see which one am I on.